That's why we call ourselves Discover San Angelo. Visit is fine. You would hope that when people come to our community, even if they come over and over again, that they discover something new every single time,
Yeah.
because that's what the adventure is about, especially in travel.
Welcome to the By the Stream Media Podcast. I'm Matt Butcher, and today I am joined by Diann Bays, the Vice President of Discover San Angelo. Thanks for coming today.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here.
Good. Yeah, so I've known Diann. I was trying to go back through emails and look at like how long we've worked together and known each other. And it's over 6 years, I think.
5.
Is it 5?
Little over
Okay.
5,
Okay.
yeah.
A little over 5. And I was trying to remember the first project that we did together. One of my favorites is the posters that we got to do. And like my favorite of all time that I've probably ever designed is that kayaker going down the river poster that
Yeah.
you gave me like the freedom to do something like totally different that no one had really given me the chance to do before. And so that was exciting for me.
Well,
that I got to do
it
that.
was phenomenal work. And we wanted something kind of like from the 50s, but updated.
Yeah.
Back when they did the travel posters, and, being able to show the Riverwalk and what it would look like for someone coming to San Angelo. That's what we're here for. We sell the community, and you put that image there for others. And I know
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times people have said, "Do you have postcards of that?" So
That'd be
maybe
cool.
we should get those.
Maybe so. Yeah. No, that'd be awesome. But I mean, just to credit to you, like you are extremely creative and you notice you're not afraid to try something different. And I think that probably that's going to come out a lot today on our podcast is that you are always looking for creative ways to put stuff together, put people together, put stuff out there. And you're not, sometimes we can have projects where it's very controlled, which is good to have direction and that kind of thing. But sometimes it can, you do something cool and then they're like, oh no, we don't want that. That's too different kind of
Yeah,
thing. But
well, you're the experts. I mean, I have the idea, but I can't necessarily, I don't have the skill set to put that in play.
yeah.
You guys do. So I have to trust those who work for me in that role, when we contract with you to make it work. And I think what I've loved about working with By the Stream and with you particularly is you bring a notepad in and you just start drawing. So that's just your way of I take crazy notes like a doctor, so nobody can
Yeah.
read them but me. But you draw it out, and then you realize what you want to do based on the story. So you draw the story I tell, and that's a great collaboration for me because I can't do it.
Yeah, honestly, we just like enjoy working with you and love it and look forward to doing that still to come. But just so people understand what it is that you even do, describe the Visitors Bureau, Discover San Angelo, kind of what your position is. What is all this that we're even talking about?
Sure. Yeah, we are the destination marketing organization for the city of San Angelo. So we're contracted. We're a division of the Chamber of Commerce.
Mhm.
And we manage the Discover San Angelo website and social media, as well as we are out marketing the story of San Angelo, if you will. So our job is to tell the story, the positive story.
Mhm.
We know there are negative stories out there in any community, but we focus on the good things that there are here to say, because we want visitors to come. Our role is to bring visitors into our community. Day trips are great, but our office is fully funded by hotel tax. So we
Right.
want visitors to spend the night, spend more money, shop, eat, go to attractions, all of that while they're in town. And so we really target those out of town guests. And what's good for the guest is also good for the resident because they use those same products. And when we get our information out on social media, the residents who follow us on our social media pages find out that the things to see and do as well. So it's a win-win for both sides.
Yeah.
And I've been in the travel and tourism industry for almost 30 years, but
Right.
the destination marketing world, about probably a little over 15 of that.
Okay.
And it's just to be able to tell the positive story of a community that's powerful.
Yeah.
we want it all starts with a visit. That comes from my friend Mara Gass from the Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau. She said that years ago in a speech, and I've never forgotten it. It does all start with a visit.
Yeah. No, definitely. So you said 30 years you've been in travel and tourism?
Almost 30 years.
So where did that start?
Well, the official start was when I was about 14. I worked at the Panther Cove Drive-In in the little tiny town of Follett, Texas. It's around under 500 people.
Okay.
I had 10 people in my class, and I was a waitress. And I was 14 because I remember having to do my taxes the next year and didn't know what that was. I had to ask my aunt, what do I do?
Yeah.
But officially, I started I wanna say when I was probably 20, 24, 25, I was at the Worthington Hotel in downtown Fort Worth. And I've worked in all assets of the travel and tourism industry except for an airport.
Okay.
I've worked for
Trains?
attractions. No, well, not
Oh,
trains,
okay.
but transportation.
Okay.
So I've worked in transportation at the
Oh, yeah.
airlines,
Uh-huh.
but I've worked for attractions, I've worked for hotels, now I work for a destination marketing that organization that sells all of those things.
Yeah.
So I've learned along the way what you can do, how to empathize with businesses because 'cause I've been there.
Yeah.
And so that brings a different light to what I do for a living. But yeah, I've been doing this for a long time and love it. I don't know how long I'll do it, but hope to do it a long time,
Yeah.
even more. So yeah.
I feel like it really shows how much you've learned and how long you've been a part of the industry because of how well you relate to people, other businesses. It's obviously in every aspect of what you do, and I feel like it's a really good testament to how qualified you are for your position now.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't learn in all those years, if I haven't learned, I can't be good at my job. And people have always said you have one mouth, two ears, listen, pay attention, all of that. And I go back to some of my mentors, and two always stand out for me,
Hmm.
both in the travel and tourism industry. One taught me to pick my battles. She said they're not all battles.
Yeah.
Learned that from my meeting with clients that I was young and kind of dumb, and she said, pick your battles, and not everything has to be a battle. So that's how I learned to listen better. And then another mentor said, or didn't say it, showed it, that no job is beneath you. So he would he was in charge of a hotel, and he would be there helping take sheets down and all of those things when there was a quick turnaround in the hotel and different groups were coming in.
Hmm.
So he always taught me that and without ever saying it. And so I've tried to remember those kinds of things because they bring out your best
Yeah.
when you're paying attention. And so I try now that I'm in that mentor stage and not the mentee stage.
Yeah.
I try to provide that to my staff and those colleagues of mine who are friends in the industry who are younger than me.
Hmm.
I don't always succeed, uh, just myself. I still have a lot of learning to do. I don't always get it right, but I feel like the lessons I've learned have certainly helped me
Yeah.
to be better.
Yeah. Well, that's undoubtable. Like, um, just being able to relate to even the lowest position or starting position of stuff, folding towels in a hotel or waiting tables. If you can relate to what those people are going to, you can see how that's going to relate to other bigger projects and other things that you're going to be doing along the way. So,
Sure. Yeah, well, and I've done all those jobs. And
yeah.
and that, I used to work at the Texas Travel Alliance, and
Okay.
we had a travel and tourism college in the summer. And I was one of the facilitators for a class, a group of students, and we had an instructor talk about some things that one of the people in the audience or in the being instructed to, one of the students said, I'm never going to do that job. This is somebody else in my staff does that. And I can't remember who it was, quite frankly, don't know if they're still in the industry, but I thought, I wonder if that changed after COVID.
Okay.
Because did you have to do those jobs? Because a lot of people were laid off,
Yeah.
which was a huge hard lesson that, everybody needs to know how to do the work.
Yeah.
And, graphic design is not something I know how to do. I have a person who does that, and we also use you guys, and other, companies when we need that work done. That is not my skill set. But marketing, sales, I've done all those things.
Yeah.
And I could go back into a hotel and either run it or work in housekeeping because 'cause I've done all of them because you have to,
Yeah.
no job is beneath you
Yeah.
is a true life lesson. If the trash is out at your favorite attraction, pick it up.
Yeah.
Just grab it. There's a trash can somewhere.
Yeah.
Pick it up, go wash your hands.
Yeah.
Because you want that attraction to have its best foot forward, that restaurant to have its best appearance for whoever's coming in, because you want it to stay open.
Yeah.
So you go do that. It's no big deal.
Right.
Our hands were cleaner in 2020 than they've ever been ever.
Yeah.
And because of all the hand sanitizer,
Yes.
we can still have a hand sanitizer in
Yeah.
2022 and still clean things up.
Yeah.
So, all of those, again, no job is beneath you. That's still part of that lesson as we learn every day.
Right. Yeah, that's a testament just to probably why we work so well together, because you can understand like where I'm coming from when we're designing stuff. You're able to convey what you're looking for right off the bat. Like there's no guesses or questions about, I wonder what she meant or what that means. Or we design something and you're like, that's not what I wanted at all. That happens a lot in our industry, but with you, it doesn't ever seem to go that way. It's like we have a clear direction where we're going. You give us freedom, but still it's like, it needs to go this way. And then I feel like every time it turns out better than it ever would individually. I feel like the synergy of us working together is always great. So I enjoy that.
Well, when you're an extended staff person. I mean, that when you work with anybody outside of your staff that you're trying to produce a product with, they're your extended staff.
Mhm.
And so you have to be able to communicate with them, even if you just met them. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're wasting each other's time
Right.
and money of the organization you work for. So getting out the complete message is important. And
Yeah.
and sometimes it doesn't work. You throw things on a wall and hope they stick. I've had some things that did not work out that I thought were great ideas.
Yeah.
Some of them didn't get past leadership, not necessarily here, but in other communities, they didn't get past the leadership, even though I thought this is something that could work. And I still stand by some of those things. It's
Can I
like,
ask what any of those are? Maybe something that didn't see the light of day or
I won't name the town,
okay.
but the town we lived in had a lot of squirrels. A
Okay.
lot of squirrels. And I know some people don't like squirrels. They think of them as glorified rats,
Mhm.
but people look at them, they're cute.
Yeah.
A squirrel is cute. And I was looking at a mascot idea. And we had an agency very similar to yours that were young and fresh and just knew how to do what I needed. And I wanted the squirrel. Well, the squirrel would have been the mascot, and the sidekick was a nut. And they put faces on the nut, and so one of them was a spa. We had a lot of spas in that community, so they put the squirrel in a robe and green mask on the face and
Mhm.
on the face
Like
of
a
the nut.
cartoon squirrel
Yeah,
or
and
okay.
and it was just
Yeah.
this is what the locals do,
Yeah.
Even though we know a squirrel's never gonna go to the spa, but
Yeah.
we had all these different fun things, but
Yeah.
they didn't want a squirrel to be a mascot
Okay.
because it was just not it
They
wasn't what they thought the community should be, and that
saw it
was
as a
fine.
rodent, as a rat
They
or
saw it
something
as
like
rodent,
that.
and
Yeah.
I just didn't see it, and
Uh-huh.
it was cute, it was funny, and
Yeah.
that's okay. But
Yeah.
it was I still look at those images in my head because I remember seeing
Yeah.
them
It could've
and thought how funny they were.
Yeah.
Business suit, a squirrel in a business suit, a squirrel in a
Could've
baseball
worked.
uniform with a nut with a catcher's mask.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, it was
It could
just
work.
oh, yeah, it could've, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Oh, well.
Maybe someday, somewhere.
We'll bring it to San Angelo then.
We don't have that many squirrels here.
What do we got? Yeah. I don't know what we got here.
We have sheep.
Raccoons?
We have sheep.
We have sheep. That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
We're already set.
Yeah. Nice. So I know that you're pretty well traveled. Like you, especially around Texas, it seems like you get all over to these little small places and different things. What was it that attracted you to San Angelo to work here? Were you just looking for jobs and this is where it worked out, or did you pursue this? How did you become the VP Discover San Angelo?
Well, when in 2016, my husband and I left my job at the Texas Travel Alliance. I was their senior vice president of membership and development, and that was the advocacy organization for the Texas travel industry. And so in that job, doing membership, I literally was all over the state talking to our members. And so that kind of gave me the bug. I had it before, but I did it then. That was part of my role in my
Mhm.
job, was to go out and see people. And my husband and I took a year off after I left that job, and we RV'd. So we got to experience tourism from the visitor's perspective
Yeah.
at a different way, because when I started in this business, we had a website, we had direct mail, we had cold calls. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we had.
Right.
And now, we
So
link,
much.
we tweet, we pin,
Yeah.
we TikTok, we Facebook, we do all those
Yes.
things. And so I made travel decisions with my phone most of the time.
Okay.
That's what I did. So I looked at destinations websites. I did, the brands like TripAdvisor and any of those travel brands, and I was on their apps looking at what there was to see and do in communities. And so I got to live that life and learn this is how a visitor makes a decision now.
Mhm.
And I knew we were only going to do this for 6 months. We did it for a year. And I knew I was going back to work. My husband's about 15 years older than me, so we wanted to do some of our travel early,
Yeah.
while we were both phicically able to do that.
Right.
And so we did that, and I started putting out applications all over, and I was being looked at all over the US, but there were a couple of Texas destinations. My husband is not a Texan,
Okay.
but he said, "I would rather stay in Texas."
Okay.
So he helped make that decision for me,
Yeah.
and San Angelo was one of the opportunities, and I had only been to San Angelo once. A few years prior, when I was working for the Texas Travel Alliance, we did what they call TxDOT study tours. So we would bring travel counselors that are at the entryway visitor centers or
Mhm.
travel centers in the state, and we would take them on a tour bus to certain regions. Well, San Angelo was one of those stops.
Okay.
So that was my first visit, probably 2014 or 2015, to San Angelo, and I thought, "What a cool town."
Yeah.
And I thought of it as a town, not a city,
Okay.
because it just had that feel. Even though I knew it was a city,
Yeah.
that's how it felt.
Right.
And so I got the opportunity to work here, took the job, and because I serve on a couple of, well, now one state board, but I was at that time serving on two, I went to a lot of meetings,
Mhm.
in different communities, and rural communities have always had my heart.
Yeah.
I've lived in 20 cities and towns in Texas. I was born in the largest city, Houston, and I've lived in towns like Follett that were under 500.
Mhm.
So talk about a vast difference.
Yeah.
But the rural communities are places people will go. They just have to find that one thing they have,
Yeah.
whatever that might be. It could be beautiful stained glass churches.
Yeah.
It could be one really unique history of some notable person who lived there.
Yeah.
It could be hunting, it could be fishing, it could be just any of those things. They have to find it, and then larger cities can piggyback and help them promote that product, especially if they're
Yeah.
within a bus tour ride on the
Okay.
way somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I like to try to help those communities, but I like to go find out about them and
Mhm.
what's there, and
What makes you unique and
yeah,
yeah.
and I started, taking photographs when I was at, the Texas Travel Alliance, because I was doing membership calls, and when you were in a lot of tiny towns, especially in East Texas,
Mhm.
there was a member every 20 or 30 miles. So I started taking pictures so I would remember what was there.
Right.
It helped me remind me, and then I started blogging, and I blogged, I think I was called Texas Traveler, and I blogged about where I went.
Yeah.
And it was my own personal blog, and I've kept doing that. And, probably the one most people are aware of, a lot of people are aware of, is How Big is Texas?
Yeah.
And I drove the perimeter of Texas in 2020 with a couple of my colleagues from the industry who I didn't know very well, but we had just been in Canada right before
Okay.
the pandemic,
Yeah.
and we'd spent a week together, and so we went in June of 2020, and we drove the perimeter.
Wow. How long did that take?
We did it. We
Which
had limited time,
okay.
so it was very quick. And
Yeah.
yes, I would want to take more time if I did it
Right.
ever
To stop
really to
and
do it.
yeah.
But we did it in 9 days, 8 nights.
Wow.
And I did all the driving because that was one of the things I wanted to be able to do.
Uh-huh.
But we saw our colleagues in the industry along the way.
Okay.
And so that was fun to be able to see them where they work. And, we saw every ecosystem
Right. Yeah,
in the whole
everything.
state,
Yeah,
every
desert,
ecosystem,
ocean, forest,
everything. And so,
mountains.
and
Yeah.
trees really kind of led our way. We knew where we were
Uh-huh.
kind of based on, you have the pine curtain in East Texas, then you go to the tropical area and you
Yeah.
see the palm trees, and
Mhm.
then you get to West Texas and you see mesquites, and then you get to far West Texas and you don't see any trees.
Yeah.
You might see a few cactus.
Right.
And then in the Panhandle, some trees, but mostly wheat.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then you'd get into some oaks and all of that. So, really nature kind of guided us on this trip, but
Yes. That's
and we saw a lot of small towns that
yeah.
had just really cool things in them, and I didn't know what they were. And one town, in the Panhandle, I think it's the Northwest Panhandle town of Conlin,
Mhm.
and I didn't expect anything because I kinda researched the towns along the way. Population 19,
Okay.
and they had a 20-foot cowboy, an
Yeah.
art cowboy
Okay.
with Tex on his belt buckle, kinda like Big Tex at the state
Made
fair.
out of,
It
like,
metal, I
plaster
think,
or okay.
but it just was there.
Yeah.
It just where a grain elevator would normally pop up, there was this thing,
Nice.
this art
Okay.
thing, and we didn't know it was gonna
Yeah.
be there, but those kinds of fun pieces
Yeah.
are part of our storytelling.
Right.
And that's that story, whatever that story is, I still haven't figured it out, but in the town of Conlin with 19 people, they have a 20-foot art installation that people could go see.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's Texas is filled with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Texas is crazy.
And that's the part I think that the discovery
Right.
part, that's why we call ourselves Discover San Angelo. Visit is fine,
Mhm.
but you would hope that when people come to our community, even if they come over and over again, that they discover something new every single time
Right. Yeah.
because that's what the adventure is about, especially in travel.
Yeah. So what did you discover when you came to San Angelo that you didn't have any clue that was here? Do you remember anything that took you off guard or you're like, "What?" And now that might be a while now, but
Yeah, man, I can't remember. I know we saw the lily gardens, which blew me away. I
yeah.
had no idea
Yeah.
because you're in outside of or not quite in the desert, but you're
Yeah.
in kind of desert climate. You don't expect that.
You're right.
You don't, and I happened to be here in October, and so we were only here a day and a half. While I was driving back to
Mhm.
Austin, I parked in Midland because that's where we started that trip, and so I thought, "I'm gonna go back through San Angelo," because something was said during the study tour that we didn't get to do, and so I went to the state park.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been to the state park. I think it was the south entrance, I can't remember now, but the con trees are there,
Yeah.
and it happened to be during the monarch butterfly migration. All the
Oh,
monarchs
cool.
were there, and
Wow.
I'd never seen
What great
that.
timing.
Oh, yeah, and I thought, "Well, I'm gonna see if they're there," and they were, and that one thing is to me, every year, I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
It's kinda like people in the hill country excited about the bluebonnets coming in
Right.
April.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
that it's gonna happen soon.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
when,
photography time. It's
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and so I started planting every kind of plant that a monarch butterfly likes
Uh-huh.
just so I could experience it.
Yeah.
It
To
was
draw 'em in and yeah,
yeah, it
that's
was like
cool.
that was such a cool thing, and most people don't get to see that. So you
Yeah.
can see that um, at the state park, you can see it by the Concho River
Yeah.
downtown,
Yeah,
and
they
you
go
can
everywhere.
see it at Lake Nasworthy, and they all like pecan trees, who knew?
Yeah.
But they were just thousands and thousands of them just fluttering around. That's just a cool experience to
Yeah.
do. It costs nothing.
Right.
It's just there.
Yeah.
Thanks, butterflies, for choosing this migratory path.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. And I know, speaking of like the state park, it blew me away to find out like there's buffalo out there that you could just like go up to, and they feed them, certain times of day you can go out there and the buffalo are just right there, and
Yeah,
they're just
them, the
so,
longhorns,
they're such weird creatures too, but it's just different to be in front of them than to
right,
see it on like TV. And you're like, oh
right.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually been. I lived in Kansas for a brief amount of time, and we went to a place that had a buffalo ranch, and we were in a, I don't know, I'd call it a hoopie, just this little
Uh-huh.
old Jeep or something,
Yeah.
and we drove into the herd, and then they surrounded us.
Okay.
And I'm like, "What's
Whatever.
gonna happen
Yeah.
next?" Because there's a big bull there,
Yeah.
looking at us, and I'm like,
Right.
I was probably pretty scared, but just watching them, and they were pretty docile at the time, and then when he started driving, they opened up and let us out. But those again, those experiences, I've
Yeah.
taken travel writers to the state park,
Yeah.
and we took one specific travel writer who was also a Disney blogger,
Okay.
and she had 2 little boys, and she didn't get to do that experience. They had to leave early. So she called and said, "Can I come back and let the boys do that?"
Yeah.
So we put them on a flatbed, and they got to experience it, and she wrote us back and said, "Best experience our kids have ever had." And I thought, "They've been to Disney many times."
Yeah.
So to say that,
On a
that to
flatbed with
me is like,
buffalo. Yeah.
but and
That's
I've been to
cool.
Disney too, and I
Yeah.
love it, but the authenticity
Right.
of nature, and
Yeah.
you can't control that.
Right. Well, Disney, it's redone every single day for someone else, kind of thing.
Right,
It's
right.
rehearsed and it's practiced and it's intentional. But yeah, if you go out there and there's buffalo and you have that interaction
Yeah,
with nature, it's
yeah, and
unscripted and
those kids loved it. And, the other thing I'd say about San Angelo is our culinary scene is incredible to me.
yeah,
We have a lot of independent restaurant owners
yeah,
that have produced amazing, amazing products, and I would put us up against any large city as far as our food is concerned, because
yeah,
I think it's fantastic. Every time I've brought travel writers, they don't have a bad experience,
yeah,
and that says something.
yeah,
Because, foodie tourism and all of that, people love it. They, if it's Instagrammable and tastes good,
right, yeah,
they're in.
yeah,
Because that's what people wanna do.
right,
And, travel really with social media, what we've learned is that people post their trips on social media to show off. We
right,
can say we don't, but we do. We
yeah,
we wanna say, "This is where we've been.
mm-hmm,
How cool is it that we've been here?"
yeah,
And, part of my How Big Is Texas reasoning for that is I go to places most people haven't been,
yeah,
because I wanna show their story, because they're small most of the time. I talk a little bit about large cities. They don't need that help as
yeah,
much as little small towns of 20 or 19
right,
people in Conlin, Texas.
yeah,
And so I like to be able to talk about that. If you go to Lajitas in the Big Bend region, they have Mayor Clay Henry, and he's a beer drinking goat. And he's in a
okay,
pen right as you enter the town,
yeah,
and he really does drink beer. But
okay,
he's like the 4th iteration of their mayors, and it was based on some bet with some cowboys back in the day.
to get it to
So
drink beer,
no,
interesting.
no, no, to actually have a mayor. So they
Oh,
they
oh,
elected a goat.
oh, nice.
So, yeah, so you've got a beer drinking goat that's the mayor of Lajitas.
Wow.
And I mean,
It's just random,
you can't
yeah,
make that up. That's
yeah,
great stuff.
yeah. No, that's fun.
Yeah. So, and those stories again are everywhere. And, there's a big tree, really big tree, and that's what it's called, outside of Rockport,
Mhm.
Texas. And it's in a state park, but it's a massive tree. I've never seen anything like it.
Hmm.
And even those tree stories outside of Goliad, there is a Sam Houston oak 8
Mhm.
miles outside of the town. And when the Alamo fell, Sam Houston happened to be in Goliad, and they planned the battle um, in San Jacinto under that oak tree, and that's
Oh,
still
okay.
there.
Yeah,
So, that, and it's a tree.
yeah,
That tree's never gonna tell us that story, but it's there. And
Right.
so, that is part of our history. So we have lots of little things that can contribute to the travel
Mhm.
and tourism story for Texas.
Right.
And
Yeah.
San Angelo plays a good part of that. The Buffalo Soldier Memorial that's being built,
Yes.
that's incredible.
Mhm.
What they contributed to Texas and to San Angelo back in the late 1800s, significant,
Yeah.
for our
Very
community.
unique too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And so we're gonna have that memorial that hopefully will be finished by next year or started and finished by
Okay.
next year, and so that's another piece of who we are,
Mhm.
and we get to be a part of telling that story,
Yeah.
and that to me is so much fun.
So what are you most excited about here in San Angelo seeing happen or come here or grow, or what are you excited about when, cuz you get to have your finger on the pulse of what's interesting here.
Yeah.
That's your job, is to find out what's interesting, what do I promote, that kind of thing. So what are you excited about?
Well, the one thing, and we put this in our branding, and you guys have helped us with that, the constant we have is the river.
Mhm.
Everything else could go away, the river would still be here. Every man-made thing could go away, but the river would still be here. So there's lots of connections to the Concho River, but, you know, I think overall we wanna do a tourism master plan that really says, "Okay, let's really look at our city from a much higher elevated view
Mhm.
and see what's missing.
Yeah.
What do we need? And what do we need in every area?"
Mhm.
So we're looking at the different districts of our city council districts because every one of those has a set of citizens
Yeah.
who need something.
Mhm.
Can we bring it all to them? Not necessarily, but we can look at it.
Yeah.
And so I would like us to have tourism neighborhoods in those districts, but I want to call them neighborhoods. I've joked about it and said districts is too Hunger Games to me.
You're
So let's
right.
call it,
Yeah.
neighborhoods instead. But let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
Okay.
Is there an ASU neighborhood? Is there a Nasworthy neighborhood? We already have a powerful downtown neighborhood,
Mhm.
but let's see how we can improve things all over the community and not just in one or two locations because
Right.
our citizens live in those places. So
Okay.
whatever we improve in travel and tourism
Yeah.
and the product in those areas is going to help the quality of life of those citizens as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And so to me, that's an exciting step up on destination development, not just destination marketing.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
developing the destination is just as important as marketing it.
Right.
So that kind of fuels me now. And we're
Okay.
working closely with our friends at Economic Development. Michael and Mike work in our office, the Mikes as we call them. And so we are now kind of playing in their pool to help tell the quality of life story to anybody who's looking to bring a business here. Because it
Yeah.
does all start with a visit. If they come for a visit to look at moving a business here, they need to know what there is to see and do.
Mhm.
Because they may be needing to move employees, and we need to make sure that those employees understand what a great community we have.
Yeah.
But that starts with a visit as well.
Right.
Even workforce, if we wanna recruit workforce from out of town, telling the visitor story is gonna be key in getting them to come here. And
Yeah.
we have a great quality of life.
Absolutely. No, I love San Angelo. Having lived here when I was younger and moved away and then coming back again, I was like, "Oh yeah, I like this town."
Yeah.
People say there's nothing to do here, but they're lazy.
And and people are. I
Like,
mean,
I
that
don't know.
initially they are. I mean, we kinda live with our blinders on, and you
Yeah.
really have to look around. We
Sure.
we say, "Look at your community with visitor goggles."
Mhm.
Look at it as if you've never been there every time you get in your car, because we
Yeah.
tend to just drive to work and we're done, but look at everything, see what's there. Our staff is pretty much trained to do that now. We look, we say, "Oh, there's a new this, or there's this coming." I mean, that's what you should do, and we should
Yeah.
all do that as citizens. "Oh, look at that median. Do we need to do something different to that?"
Right.
Or I don't know how to get to this place. Do we need to look at new signs for that?"
Mhm.
All of those things are part of our role as citizens because we are also the ambassadors.
Right.
All of us should play that role
Yeah.
as an ambassador to our community wherever you live.
Yeah.
Be a great ambassador because you want the visitor to have a good experience.
Yeah.
Because if they leave and they don't have a good experience, they'll either be silent or they're going to talk badly about us.
Right. Yeah. They'll
Uh,
never come back or yeah.
Exactly. And so we don't want that. We want it to be a great experience for all. And so
Yeah.
we encourage that, especially. We want positive, wonderful ambassadors to help tell the story.
Yeah. So you mentioned like economic development. Is that normal for like Visitors Bureau and economic development to like work together in other cities? Or is that like, I know you have all these different departments that are within the Visitors Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce kind of thing. And I feel like that synergy, if you're able to work together, is great. But I don't know if that's normal for other towns to have or not. I don't know.
It's not as prevalent as it should be,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all at fault for that. I know a colleague of mine, Bill Geist, writes a book or wrote a book, and he continues to update it on how to work best as a board member for a destination marketing organization. And he has said before, if we could just start over
Yeah.
as destination marketers, what would we do? Throw out the old playbook and start a new one. And that is part of it. Destination development, destination marketing,
Mm-hmm.
working with economic development. Because if you think about it, tourism is economic development. It's new money coming into our
Right.
community and then they're leaving, but they're coming, whether they're coming for a family reunion, coming to visit as a business owner, coming to a meeting,
Yeah.
their first impression of our community could change the way they do life.
Right. And even for bigger businesses that are looking at, okay, where do we take our corporation?
Right.
They're looking at, okay, if we have to move everyone's family here, what are the families going to do? You know,
Right.
and then that's comes back into Visitors Bureau. Like, where's all the fun things for the
Yeah.
kids and the moms and dads and everything. And it all does work together. I feel like it's great whenever you have people that can see that connection and then work together instead of just being like, no, this is my thing. I don't want to share funds with you, or I don't want to touch that. I just want credit for what I do, and you
Sure.
do yours, and you fail on your by yourself.
Right.
Instead of being like, let's just work together. So
Well, and our funds are designated and there are specific use for them.
yeah,
But I don't care why the visitor comes.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter. If they
yeah,
come for the week to look at business and we got the message for them to come here,
mm-hmm,
okay, it worked.
yeah,
And they spent the night. I read something, and I can't credit who she was, but I saw something on LinkedIn several months ago, and a woman said the destination marketing organization is the toy store of economic development because
mm-hmm,
we sell the fun.
right,
We sell the fun things to see and do, and it is, that is who we are. And, they sell all the other stuff, but we sell the fun. We sell the attractions, we sell nature, we sell art, we sell food, we sell nightlife, we sell all of that. And economic development can help us sell that
mm-hmm,
to their businesses. And so we've learned those synergies and we're getting better and better at it. Um, and it's able also we can look at their stories. I can go to an existing manufacturer with the mics and hear what they have to say, how their history started, and I can pitch those ideas to media just because it's an interesting story. So I think, we can all do better
mm-hmm,
and across the board. And yeah, sometimes there's a credit thing. I want the credit
right,
for it. And I like to say, and I say it often, I want to be the Wizard of Oz. I want to be behind the curtain. I want to keep throwing a ball to Toto to the right so he never finds the curtain.
yeah,
Because I just want to be able to do that. I like being able to manipulate a story for the positive.
mm-hmm,
And sometimes there is a negative connotation that's hard to overcome, but you can.
yeah,
Don't give up that you can't. I mean, all of us have that. And miring down in that negativity doesn't do anybody any good.
right,
I mean, that's not just in business, but that's in life.
yeah,
Try to find that, pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I say live your dash.
yeah,
Uh, you know, yes, you're born this time, you die at some point here. The dash is the only thing that matters.
right.
And so wasting it away in negativity, is that really the only life you get. Is that really what you want to do with it?
Right.
And so that works for business as well. And so
Yeah.
that's always been my focus. Let's live the dash and see what happens. So keep
Yeah.
learning. I'm 57. My mother'd be mortified that I said that, but I'm 57, getting ready to be 58 next month,
Yeah.
and still learning. And that that's that's what it's about. And our industry has changed so much, but we've had to grow into it. And those of us who are my age who don't grow into it, that's a problem. We can't expect just the young people to take on those things we may not like. I'm not a fan of TikTok, but I've done it.
Yeah.
We don't have a TikTok account, but I wanted to see, is this something we wanna do? So I need to do it myself.
Right.
And we may at some point do that, but I'll have some of the younger staff take care of it because it's just not something I like,
Yeah.
but it may be something we need to do.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, there's always different industries, different technologies, things that change. And if you just stick with, if you're still only focused on the phone book or, cold calling, then your industry's going to die. You got to keep
right,
looking at the new stuff and figuring out where to go.
right.
But awesome. Well, thank you for coming here today. I feel like that's a good kind of place to wrap up, but it's really good talking with you and learning more about your industry and what you're doing. If people want to find out more about your podcast that you mentioned, like the How Big is Texas, and I think you have some other ones too, your blog post, your podcast, where would people go to find that information?
They can find How Big is Texas. HowBigIsTexas.com is my blog, and also the podcast is How Big is Texas, and all my social media there. And I have another new podcast called Views from My Veranda, where I talk about my views and I talk about the views that I'm literally seeing at the time. And so that's kind of a fun new adventure for me. Podcasting is a new adventure for me. And then for San Angelo, they can go to discoversanangelo.com, and we hope they'll follow us, especially on our social media, so they can find out about the things to see and do while they're in our community.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.
Hey, you too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.